Hey everybody, hope you're all doing good today. Just down here at Table Rock Lake, getting ready to get out. Got an instructional fishing trip today. Going to get out there and see if we can catch a few. And had a few minutes before we get started here. Wanted to do a little video here about what I've been thinking about doing this for a long time. It's sort of going to be a little bit longer than normal because there's a lot to cover in it. And given the fact we just been through an election, it's sort of like it's pertinent to that. And the topic is the future of bass fishing in this country. What we got to look forward to. Because I'm sort of at that age where I've been doing this a long time. I've been fishing forever, and as you get older, you sort of like you gradually sort of transform a little bit, or I think the natural progression is into more of a mentor, more of a philosophical approach to the sport. Because in my own case, I've been not only a participant, but I've been a fan and a third party observer of the sport for a long time. And on top of that, I have a 3-year-old son, so I've got some vested interest in the future of the sport, not only for him, but for everybody out there that is going to inherit the sport that we got. And I wanted to share sort of some of my thoughts on this, because I think we get caught up a lot of times. People tend to live short-sighted a little bit, and very few people take the time to really look way down the future, 50, 100 years from now, what we're gonna leave after we all leave this planet here. And that's one of the things I've learned a lot from being part and studying a lot of Native American traditions and philosophies, is about how much emphasis they put on to what they left behind. A lot of the Native American tribes, anything that they did, a lot of the ones that we're really aware anyway, anything that they did as far as impact that they would have on the environment or whatever, they would ask themselves, what impact, if I take this action, what is it going to do to the next generation that they leave behind? And that's how they discerned about, if they should do something or not. As far as we're concerned in professional fishing, man, to be honest with you, I'm a little bit concerned, from a lot of different levels. And that concern is justified in a lot of stuff that's going on now. I think that as far as the future, you can get into a lot of different topics because everything is connected to fishing. If you look at it from, it can be an environmental, it can be an economic, it can be a social viewpoint. But when you look at bass fishing as a whole, it's sort of like a symptom of a root cause of everything else that's going on around us in this planet. But the challenges that bass fishing has moving forward in the sport, a lot of it has to do, in my opinion, with water quality issues and overdevelopment and participation in the sport. First of all, I think one of the biggest challenges we have is to maintain maintain the water quality that we have. Water quality that we have in the lakes across the country is a direct result of legislation that's passed to ensure that water quality. And for example, right now, we've got, in every state in the United States of America, there are some type of warnings for mercury contamination, that we have in our waters, along with other, pollutants that are in our environment, in our water. And, that particular issue right there is something that has, come about particularly over the last 50 or 60 years, that we didn't really have to deal with too much before. There's a lot of different reasons for it, and that's something we could discuss in something else. But basically, we have a water quality issue in the country as far as the ability to drink the water and to be safe in the water, and warnings that you have for eating fish. Most every lake in the country has some type of warning for consuming certain amounts of fish. And is this what we want to be? Is this the direction we want to go, where we say, okay, it's okay to have a body of water that has warning labels on it for consuming fish because it's polluted. It, to me, that's just totally unacceptable. I mean, one of the biggest challenges we have is to ensure that this is reversed and goes in the other direction, because, you know, I want an environment, I want a body of water, I want my lakes and rivers to be where if I want to drink out of them, I can. If I want to swim out of them, I can. If I want to consume fish out of them, I don't have to worry about it, you know, generating some cancer-causing agent, you know, from consuming those fish. I mean, I don't think anybody's for that. So one of the biggest challenges we have moving forward as far as water quality is basically, you know, having people that set legislation in this country be aware of this. And when they pass legislation as far as, you know, regulations that help protect this, that's a good thing for everybody. I mean, you know, who can argue with wanting to have clean air and water? And everything behind that needs to be based upon the science behind of it. You know, it doesn't have to, it is not a political issue. It has nothing to do with what side of the aisle you're on. It has everything to do with just maintaining a sustainable, healthy quality of life. We got one planet, man. We don't have any backup planets. Once this one's gone, it's done. You know, and that's, you know, we have a responsibility, you know, to take care of that. And that's a cliche. That can be that, you know, sometimes that's a cliche, but it's true. I mean, it's you know, if we don't do it, nobody's going to. So from my standpoint, the planet that I want to leave to Elijah, my 3-year-old son, is I want to leave him a place where he can go out and wade creeks, fish in lakes, and not have to worry about seeing some sign at the launch ramp that says, you know, warning, do not consume over 1 fish per month here, mercury contamination or whatever. I mean, to me, that is just sick. I mean, that's a violation of our rights to clean air and water that we have as you know, inhabitants of this planet. Second to that is participation. You know, it's really great to get people active and involved in the outdoors. But as human populations increase around the planet, we've increased the global population of the Earth from 1 billion people 175 to 200 years ago to nearly 8 billion people in less than 200 years. It took from the beginning of time when man was on this planet to just 200 years ago, basically, to reach 1 billion. You know, millions of years, and then it took less than 200 for us to gain 7 billion. At that current rate of growth, population-wise, on this planet, it doesn't take much of a stretch to see how much our resources are going to be stretched as a planet. We live on a planet that has a finite amount of natural resources, and when you have an ever-expanding population growth, in order to sustain that growth, you know, you're basically eating up yourself. I mean, that's one of the things that we've seen, like with urban and suburban sprawl. You know, we're losing our farmland to housing developments. You know, our wildlife habitat is shrinking, you know, because of overdevelopment. That pressure is directly related to the lakes that we fish on there. And, you know, that's a whole nother topic as far as, you know, addressing what we do to that moving forward for our own, you know, survival. But it basically boils down to education, you know, just educating people on the planet to you know, what we're looking at our current growth rates, and allowing people to make, you know, wise, informed decisions moving forward on that. And like I said, education is key on that, as it is with any of this stuff that we're talking about. So from those two standpoints there, I mean, you know, we have a tremendous amount of challenges moving forward. I don't think you know, it doesn't make any difference if you deny those challenges or not. They're still real and they're still with us. And we have a responsibility to acknowledge that and to try to do something about it before it's too late. Because not only is this going to affect our water quality and our fishing, you know, moving forward, but it also goes into every other aspect of our existence, our quality life that we have on this planet. It all stems from that too. Not just the quality of life, but everything surrounding that is connected. The economic security, the social well-being that we have on this planet, and the quality of life that we have, from clean air, clean water, wild spaces, just having an environment that is in balance with each other, because you have got to live in balance. That's a reality of nature on any level. If any species on this planet begins to live out of balance, and those natural cycles are interrupted, it has devastating consequences to whatever that is. There's no bias, there's no opinion to that. That's just fact. Second to that is the fishing itself. As far as the future we're looking at, I have seen this sport. I've seen it transform so much over the past 50 years, as far as the technology that we have acquired to catch bass with, whether that be lure technology, equipment advancements, electronic technology, everything, education, access to information, all that stuff is just ballooning, unbelievable. And I've always been a firm believer that I think that we have less fish in our lakes than ever before. When I started fishing a lot 40 years ago, I think we had a ton more fish in the lakes, but we have become so adept and adaptive at catching those bass that it creates this illusion that we have good fishing right now. Where if you would have taken the same technology, the same baits that we have 50 years ago, and go out on your favorite lake right now, I can promise you it would be super tough. If you had nothing but, a jitterbug, a hula popper, and a black jig and pork frog, try going down to whatever lake you're fishing, and a flasher, nothing else on there, paper map, no GPS, and see how many fish that you catch, with those, downturned lure technologies. So the advancements we have, in electronic technology, all the incredible bait technology, colors, profiles, it creates this illusion of better fishing than really what exists. So I think it's important, given the fact that we have this increased high-level fishing pressure all across the country, it's really important that we do a couple things. It's really important that we support and we encourage and we activate habitat advancement, increase habitat programs in lakes, whether it be the state planting brush, rock piles, grass, stocking programs, all that type of stuff. All that type of stuff needs to be initiated in that. Second to that, we have got to have some type of oversight or regulation on the amount of tournaments that are taking place on this country. Some of the lakes in this country, lots of them, the popular ones, are getting absolutely just covered up with tournaments. I mean, it's just that the lakes are just getting beat to death. I have seen so many good lakes in this country that I have fished degrade in their productivity in the amount of numbers and size of bass, simply because of the high level tournament bass fishing, pressure on there. And I'm by no means saying get rid of tournaments. That's not what I'm saying. But there's got to be some type of a program or an oversight that basically looks at a body of water and handles how much pressure this particular lake can have without negatively affecting the population. And then moving forward from that point. And all the stuff that I'm talking about, these are difficult things, man. These are difficult decisions that have to be made. It's not that they're infringement on anybody's right. I'm not telling anybody that, that you're going to have to just get used to having your toes stepped on and your way of life changed. But this is just the reality of it, man. This is just the things that we have to do to maintain the quality and sustainability of our fisheries. And, whether you want to deny that or not does not change the fact that this stuff is happening right now. And, you have to take a moment and look forward 50, 100 years from now to see if the paths that we are headed on, what it looks like down the road. You know, people that like myself that have been fishing for 50 years, we've seen that change. We've seen that what has happened to the sport, and then you multiply that moving forward another 50 years, and you can see the incredible challenges we have to that. But on top of that, it's like I've talked about this before as far as the the technology advancements in the sport. You've heard me talk a lot about electronic technologies, that are booming in the sport and where that's going to lead us. Everything else surrounding that. I think again that's more of a topic that is up for debate. That really has less to do with the future of our fisheries, and that has more to do with like how it affects tournament realities. But when I'm talking about the future of the sport, I'm mainly talking about water quality issues and the amount of pressure that our lakes have and the ability of those body waters to sustain that pressure. So anyway, I'd be curious to hear everybody's thought on this. Like I said, feel free to comment on this. Keep politics out of it. What I'm talking about here has nothing to do with politics. Please don't try to drag politics into it, because what I'm talking about has to do with the just the sustainability that we have, ensuring that we have a clean planet, healthy fisheries and that type of stuff, and what we have to do to maintain that. And I'd be curious to hear everybody's thoughts on that, what they think. And it's a topic that I think about all the time. It really is, because to me, bass fishing, if you overlook the healing aesthetic aspects of bass fishing, how therapeutic it is to be out of the water, then you're missing a tremendous amount. If you approach bass fishing as just like going out there and seeing how many times you can set the hook and how many pounds of fish you can put in the boat, and you're oblivious to everything else that is going on out there, you're missing so much that the sport has to offer. I have taken a bunch of wounded warriors fishing. I've taken a bunch of people that have had emotional and mental challenges and hardships, and you get them out on the water in an environment that is clean and pure, away from mankind, away from civilization. There is a healing aspect that comes with being on that water that cannot be denied. And I take that personal, and that's why I don't want a trashed environment. I don't want polluted water. I don't want us to have to say, oh, we have to balance the amount of pollution we put in the lake with the economic reality of it. That's just, to me, that's unacceptable. We have to have an environment that we go out there that's not only sustainable to us from a physical well-being, but also a mental well-being standpoint. So anyway, just a few thoughts there. Getting ready to get out on the water today. Got a lot coming up this week. Got a lot of working to do with fish at the moment. Getting ready to leave this weekend for Lake Louisville to the Bass Open. And we'll keep you updated on how everything's going. See y'all later.